what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, however you are consuming this podcast. I do appreciate you guys very, very much. Big shout out to today's sponsor, the law offices of William Mattar. Heard in a car, call William Mattar, 444-4444. Call William Mattar today to get the compensation that you deserve. Well, most of you anyway are going to be listening to this on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there. Hope you are enjoying it. I am joined as usual for this midweek show by my very good friend, SB Nation, Matt Warren. What's going on, man? How you doing? Merry Christmas Eve to you and to the Warren clan. Are you set, man? You good to go for the holiday?
No, in fact, I was just, I've got the Tops flyer in front of me. I can't wait to go grocery shopping. We record on Tuesday, the 23rd, as Pat usually says, or Tuesday, mid-morning, as Pat usually says. And so later this afternoon, I'm going to be braving both the snow and the rush at the grocery store to get everything situated that I need for Thursday.
Yeah. We're going to do our weekly thing this week. We're going to spend some time going through the Bills positionally. We'll talk about their performance last week and some other nuggets maybe going forward. By position, Matt will assign a grade. We got some time left at the end. We'll spend a few minutes talking about Philly. I did some research kind of like on schedule, or not schedule, but seating possibilities. Maybe we can get to that time pending too as well here at the end. To Matt's point, we are recording on Tuesday. In this case, I will say the 23rd for a reason, but we're recording on Tuesday, the 23rd in the morning for a Wednesday, Christmas Eve in this case, podcast. Say that for two reasons, Matt. Number one, the schedule with the Bills is different this week. Typically, they'd be off on Tuesday, and Tuesday's not really a news day in terms of hearing from the team and injury report evaluations and things like that. However, that will be going on later today, but we are recording first, so any injury stuff about guys who are practicing or not practicing, we're not covering that on the show today because we're recording before that. On a serious note, real quick, before we get into today's show, this being Christmas Eve when you're listening, recording this on December 23rd, if I could indulge myself and you and everybody out there who's listening just for a quick minute, or get on my soapbox for just a minute here. Don't take, it's Christmas Eve, Christmas. Don't take those who are lucky enough to still be around, family and loved ones. Don't take them for granted at Christmas. Especially show some love and support to people right now going, you get to the holiday season and they're really going through it. I lost my father 35 years ago today, on December 23rd, and in very sudden fashion. He was just 41 years old. He had a brain aneurysm. I was 19 years old, and it was 2 days before Christmas, and it put me in a really dark place. I don't mean to get melancholy on everybody out there who's listening to the show, but it's for a reason. It put me in a really dark place, especially those first few years, and like none so more than around Christmas time, those first couple of years, man. I'll never forget that empty feeling. The first year was just kind of shocked, like you don't even know what to feel 2 days before Christmas. About a year or so later, just being and looking at a Christmas tree made me sick to my stomach, just sitting there in a dark room and looking at things. It was one of the most emptiest feelings I think I've ever had in my life, man. One of those just lonely feelings. And it was like that time of year. It took me a handful of years to really kind of climb out of that mental rut that I was in. And probably not until like a handful, 6, 7 years later, I met my future wife, fell in love. And that kind of, gives you more things to look for. Christmas starts to mean a lot more, having the kids and things like that. It took time. It really did. And I wouldn't wish those feelings, and I still remember them 35 years later, to some extent anyway. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, man. There is nothing out there, I'm telling you, man, and everybody's been through it or they will go through it. There's nothing worse than that first Christmas season, after you lose a loved one, whether it's a spouse, a parent, a child, a close relative, a very close friend, whatever it may be. There's nothing worse than that first season or first couple seasons, and that's especially true when you lose a loved one right around Christmas time too. So it's just a memory that haunts me and haunts people, I'm sure, for a long time. So I guess what I'm saying, if you know someone out there that's going through something like that right now, might not seem like much, just reach out. Let those people know that they're suffering. Let them know that you're just thinking about them. It goes a long way. I promise you that. I don't know how I would have gotten through the first couple Christmas seasons without the support of friends. It was before social media when you used to have to call somebody or go see them. I don't know how I would have gotten through those first handful of years were it not for support of my friends. So people out there, they're going through it right now. Some people, we're excited about Christmas. It's a great time of year, but there's people out there who are really hurting. So just make sure that you let them know that you're thinking of them.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Pat. That was it's tough. I'm so sorry to hear about what happened to your dad. That suddenness is it's really hard.
It's not fun when you're 19 years old too, man. I promise you that it's not fun for anybody. But yeah, just let people know, man. It really the comfort goes a long way. Sometimes just letting people know. I mean, it's important 365 days of the year, but I'm just telling you, man, there's just that feeling of Christmas because everybody what it means to so many people and they're enjoying it, and to be able to, just to reach out to somebody, it really does. It means a lot. Anyway, 3 Bills named to the Pro Bowl here.
Nice segue.
That is a beautiful segue, isn't it? 3 Bills make the Pro Bowl. Josh Allen, James Cook, Deion Dawkins. Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that all 3 of them made it. I think James Cook was an alternate last year, and that really irritated me at the time. So seeing him get the nod this year.
That's right. He was pissed. He was pissed last year, now that I think about it.
Yeah. And so seeing the 3 of them be named was good. I don't like last year. I know we were complaining about Christian Benford not making it. I don't think anyone's going to be like pounding the table for him. Joey Bosa, Greg Rousseau. I don't think we're probably in that conversation for Pro Bowl stuff.
Yeah.
I just didn't see another obvious candidate outside of maybe a Spencer Brown. So I thought that the 3 of them being named made a heck of a lot of sense, and I don't have too many arguments to make.
No, neither do I. Christian Benford, kind of a little bit of a slow start to the season. Yeah. He's missed a couple games. He had that 2-game span where he was just electrifying, and he's not a household name outside of Buffalo. So I'm not surprised he didn't make it. I would have liked to have seen Reggie Gilliam make it. I think Reggie Gilliam was worthy, but in fact, to be honest with you, I didn't even look at the list, and I don't even care. But I'll say this, Josh and James Cook, no-brainers. Deion Dawkins, I'm not saying he's not worthy, but I think that may be a little reputation-based too as well. Kind of reminds me of the days Reuben Brown would make the Pro Bowl, like literally, I think he made it like 9 straight years or something crazy like that. I'm not saying Deion Dawkins is not a Pro Bowl caliber player. I'm just saying he was good this year. I don't know if he's one of the 3 or 4 best tackles in the conference though, but he's in the Pro Bowl, so congratulations to him. Let's get into this here. We'll go through the Bills positionally. Primarily, we're talking about the Cleveland game. And like I said, there might be it might lead to other conversations like it typically does with us. We'll start with the quarterbacking. Josh Allen was 12-19 in this game for 130 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a minus 10.4 EPA, which I looked up, and that was his second worst of the season. Houston was the only game that was worse. In fairness to Josh, and I'm sure you'll talk about this, he wasn't helped by some of his players as well. Dawson Knox dropped a touchdown. Brandon Cooks dropped a long pass. But in fairness too, Matt, he also didn't help himself. I mean, he missed Shakir with what probably was a touchdown wide open. He missed Shavers I believe, on that fourth down play, the very next play after, a few other things too as well. It's weird. It's not usually tricky to talk about Josh Allen, but I feel like this game, at least for me, it is a little bit. What do you think?
I don't think it's tricky at all. I think he just didn't play very well. And
there you go.
Especially in the second half after he hurt his foot, he couldn't drive the ball. I think it was pretty clear from the way he was sailing every pass that he just didn't have the zip that he normally does from his plant foot in the back. So you could explain it away based on that injury, but also he is the one that caused the injury by a boneheaded decision in that pass play. So he got himself hurt and then had to deal with the consequences of it. It does stink that Knox dropped the touchdown pass that would have given him his 300th touchdown and all that. I gave him a C for this game. I don't go that low for Josh Allen, but he did not play very well. His stats were bad. And the eye test was bad. So we have high expectations for him, obviously. But it didn't feel like he outplayed Shedeur Sanders by that much. And I thought Sanders played like crap. So I gave him a C.
I'm with that. I was going to ask you, do you think the foot injury, I mean, you bring up not a fun point, but a fair point. He kind of did bring it upon himself. Hopefully, he's going to be fine this week with some rest on the foot. I would expect he's going to be limited to practice. But anyway, it's a separate conversation. What I was going to say was, didn't he look like a completely different quarterback to you in the second half? I thought he was really good in the first half. I mean, He didn't have touchdown passes, but that's because James Cook had 2 on the ground. Ty Johnson, they were kind of running that no huddle or up tempo for 2 of those touchdowns. They could have easily faked. He could have took it himself or threw it. In fact, I was talking to my wife during the game. I'm like, I don't think they're trying to necessarily, because Josh is 3 away from 40, I believe, going into this game. Yep. I was like, I don't think they care about that right now, because they could have thrown the ball or he could have taken it himself. I thought he was really good in the first half, and then he was not the same in the second half. Like, most of those bad throws or decisions were in the second half. So certainly something to monitor going forward. Running backs. James Cook, Pro Bowler James Cook, leading the NFL right now in rushing. James Cook, 16 carries, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7.2 yards per carry. He did have a catch for 17 yards. He also dropped one early in this game as well. An electrifying 44-yard touchdown. That felt like a video game type of run. That was a lot of fun to see. So he obviously, he was great. Ty Johnson, 3 carries for 16 yards and a touchdown. Ray Davis, 3 carries for 14 yards. He also had 2 catches for 20 yards. Collectively, the Bills running backs had 147 yards. And this is not including Josh. This is the running backs. 147 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. That's quite the day, man. What do you got?
I gave them an A+. It's all 3 of them were averaging 5 yards a carry or right around there or more, as you said. The one quibble that I have, and you laid out everything else that was positive, I really want James Cook to stop extending the ball at the goal line like he did for that touchdown. I know that he scored. That's great.
Yeah.
What happens when he doesn't score and the ball gets knocked out or he fumbles it through the end zone like we saw almost happen previously this season? Yeah. So that was my only little caveat thing that I wanted to say, because I said it in real time on Blue Sky, and everything else was great. A+.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. We would have to go through several rooms to evaluate. We won't do that today, but at first thought, is it fair to say this is probably the best running back room in the NFL?
Yeah, probably. James Cook is if you say James Cook is one of the top, say, 3 running backs in the NFL, which probably is. And then you'd have what Ty Johnson and Ray Davis have been able to do. I think at least production wise they are, which is why we're going to talk the offensive line here in a second as well. It's hard to put that group ahead of what the Rams are doing or some of these other groups as a whole. I don't think if we lost James Cook, we would be able to have Ty Johnson and Ray Davis step up and give the same type of production where you might have in some other running back rooms where it can just share the load, like in New England or whatever. So yes, they're certainly one of the best.
I'm not saying that they're 1 through 3, maybe the most talented 3 running backs in the NFL. I just think Ty Johnson's role is perfect for him. A guy who will catch the ball out of the backfield, a guy you could depend on the pass block, and a guy who gets tough yards. I mean, he scored a touchdown in this game. He had he put the game away last week with that third down run in between the tackles. And Ray Davis is kind of a hybrid. He had a really bad start to the year, but he's starting to play well. He's running with some juice. It felt like there wasn't juice. All going on, I feel like going all the way back to training camp, it didn't feel like the juice was there for Ray Davis. I know we've talked about this on the show multiple times, and early in the season, it kind of felt that way too. I don't know if some of these great kick returns he's had has really gotten his mojo back or something, but it feels like he's running with more purpose, and he's been a nice little weapon out of the backfield as well. So I just feel like all those guys have a good role. By the way, for everybody who was wondering, with 2 weeks left now, James Cook has the NFL rushing lead by 43 yards over Jonathan Taylor. I think that's going to come down to if he plays in week 18, you know, how things play out. James Cook trying to be the first Bill to win an NFL rushing title in 50 years since O.J. Simpson. He's already got 1,532 yards, which is already the third most ever in a single season in Bills history. He would have to get, I did the math, not impossible, but unlikely, 286 yards in his last 2 games he would need to move into second. He would pass OJ's second best. Anyway, a great day. I agree with you. A+ for the running backs. Wide receivers, I feel like this is becoming a thing now every week. Khalil Shakir, 4 catches for 34 yards. Tyrell Shavers, 1 catch for 15 yards. Josh Palmer, 1 catch for 2 yards. Can we, Brandon Cooks, a second consecutive week with an inexplicable drop. Mecole Hardman, 0 snaps at wide receiver, 1 punt return. When the game was close in the fourth quarter and they had to punt Cleveland, it was Khalil Shakir back there, so I don't really know what to think about that. Sean McDermott did explain and said it was a coach's decision, just with him being back newly. They trusted Shakir a little more in that situation. Can we do this 2 ways? But ultimately, you're going to give a grade. Can we talk about Khalil Shakir first? Just him? Because I feel like he's almost unfairly lumped into what's just become a garbage room for the Bills. But it's Khalil Shakir's fine, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Shakir's
doing exactly what the Bills are asking him to do. He's putting up decent numbers.
Can I give you his pace numbers for the year? With only 2 games left now? Right now, he's at 66 catches, 684 yards, 4 touchdowns. His pace for this season right now, with only 2 left, 75 catches for 775 yards. That's kind of like where you pegged him at the beginning of the season, I feel like, right?
Yeah, I was hoping he'd get close to 1,000 yards, but he did miss some time and was banged up and stuff like that. So seeing him like at 850 was probably where I wanted him at with how much they're paying him, but also knowing that they were going to be using him in those underneath and he wasn't going to be stretching the field things. When you look at the rest of the receiver room, I think that's obviously a bigger problem. But Shakir's on pace to do pretty much what we expected this year, maybe outside of the touchdown department. How many touchdowns does he have?
4. He's got 4 right now. And he's also got...
It's actually more than I thought.
He has 38 screen routes, which I looked up on Next Gen Stats, and it's second most in the NFL. Only Deebo Samuel has run that play more than Khalil. But anyway, that's Khalil. I don't want to just bash the group without, kind of saying that Khalil's been fine. And by the way, if Josh can make a throw, you could probably add, instead of 4 for 34, he's 5 with probably, 70 yards or so and probably a touchdown as well. But anyway, talk about this rest of the room. I got a stat after you're done that I'm going to share from Joe B, The Athletic. I just almost couldn't believe it when I read it. But what do you make, man? What do you think of this room and this game? Just going forward, I don't even know right now what to think anymore with them.
Yeah, and that was the header on the section of the article by Joe. Like, you probably can't believe this wide receiver stat. So I'm looking forward to you sharing that. So I thought the play design for Shaver's long catch and run was good. Cook's dropping a pass again that the Bills needed again is just inexplicable. I don't understand why Gabe Davis was inactive for McCole Hardman to do one punt return. It doesn't make any sense to me with how much Josh Allen trusts him. You have to think what would have happened in the second half if Gabe Davis was in there as, your boundary receiver instead of what they had out there. Palmer leading the receivers and snaps and only getting 2 yards is just not good enough. So I gave them a D as a whole because Shakir probably pulled them up an entire letter grade and Shavers wasn't terrible. So I just have some very big questions about this group going forward. And obviously, I don't think the wide receiver group is going to keep them from winning a Super Bowl. I want to just be very clear with that. They're still scoring a ton of points. To your point earlier, if Allen hits 3 of those passes that he sailed instead of floating them over the receivers' heads, the stats look a heck of a lot better in this game, and the points look a heck of a lot better, and the Bills blow out the Browns. So I wouldn't necessarily say that the receivers are going to be holding back this team from winning, but it's certainly not going to make it pretty, and it's certainly not going to make it easier.
I couldn't agree more. A couple things. Yards per pass on Twitter. You know who that is. A nice little resource for football and for Bills stuff.
He used to write for Buffalo Rumblings with me. He's very talented. I like what he does.
Really? That's right. You know what? That's right. I knew that.
We go back a long way.
I've been rattling my brain trying to think of why they would sit Gabe and Keon and play Cooks and Hardman in this game. And the general, I don't want to say a lazy take, but the general take was, well, they want to see if they can get some chemistry going with those guys before the playoffs. So kind of feel like they still need to get chemistry going with Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman as well. I'm just saying. But anyway, he said, my thoughts on why the Bills sat Gabe and Keon, and I'm reading directly what he said, a tweet here. They are desperately looking for guys that can win one-on-one and stretch the field. These outside wide receivers are getting the easiest possible coverage looks that you can get in regards to making a big play. That makes sense. Brandon Cooks, 2 weeks in a row, they've beaten the coverage. They've got them one-on-one, and they've got that downfield shot with him open, and he's a speed guy. But you got to catch the football. That's the whole thing. I do understand when you say it that way. They're trying to be able to stretch the field, and the way defenses are playing them, it's easier to try to get a big play downfield one-on-one with a Brandon Cooks, which has worked, or a Hardman, which we have no idea because he literally didn't even play a snap in this game.
I don't know if that lines up, though, with what I saw in the first half, because if they were trying to stretch the field more, you would see Hardman out on the field for more than 0 offensive snaps.
Literally 0.
And those, especially in the first half before Josh hurt his foot, they were running a lot of those quick passes, a lot of the quicker developing plays, as opposed to those long developing, shot plays, which I know that you set up those shot plays with shorter stuff, but it felt like they were trying to scheme against Myles Garrett by going with the quick pass. And so if they were going to do that, I would have expected to see Davis or Coleman as opposed to, say, Hardman.
Yeah. Joe B in The Athletic. Excellent breakdown of this game, by the way. A lot of thoughts. I mean, Joe B is always a great read at The Athletic. Go check him out. He pointed out a stat that over the last 2 games, the Bills' boundary receivers, and I mean every boundary receiver on every snap. And for people who are like, well, what are you talking about? That means every wide receiver who's not lined up as a slot on that play. Every boundary receiver for the last 2 games, they've combined 3 catches for 39 yards. Combined in the last, not 1, but 2 games. Can you imagine that? Good receivers get 3 catches for 39 yards, 1 guy on a drive quite often for teams. They've only had 3 receptions for 39 yards by their boundary receivers in 2 games. That is ridiculously bad. That's as bad as it gets, dude. And in regards to Keon Coleman, I'm out on him. I have to be. This game to me proves, I understand Brandon Cooks why he's out there. I don't agree with it. And in fairness to me, I criticized it when the inactives came out at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday. I immediately criticized that. I thought that either Gabe Davis or Keon Coleman, specifically Gabe Davis, I thought should have been playing in that game. But I can understand that. But Mikael Hardman, who was a, in mid-season pickup, I believe, I don't know if he was a free agent or he got waived. I don't remember. And I don't care. The point is, he played one game, fumbled that punt, got hurt on that punt, went on IR, comes back and plays ahead of Keon Coleman. To me, that says Keon Coleman is no longer about a discipline issue about missing meetings or, being late or whatever. It's no longer that, hey, it's his second year and this kid's got to wake up. This is his big wake-up call. I don't think it's about that anymore. I just straight up don't think that Sean McDermott thinks he's one of the best 5 wide receivers on this football team. Maybe not even one of the best 6 wide receivers on this football team at this point. And isn't it crazy how much things have changed from week 1 in September, beating the Baltimore Ravens 41-40, where Keon Coleman had 8 catches for 114 yards and a touchdown. He was a beast. I remember saying, do the Bills have a T. Higgins type maybe on their hands going forward? Like, this could be a special sophomore season for Keon Coleman. But no, again, I don't think it's discipline. I don't think it's the wake-up call that he needs. I just don't think he's one of the best 5 or 6 receivers on this football team, per Sean McDermott. Do you agree with that at this point? I kind of feel like that was laid out for us with this decision.
Yeah, and I don't think they put Hardman over Coleman specifically because of receiving. Obviously, they wanted him back there returning punts and not Shakir. So, I mean, you can argue about like 4th receiver versus 5th receiver or 6th receiver if you really want to, but he was out there for a coach's decision because either he's not trying hard enough or he's just not talented enough. And either of those things are damning for his future.
It's pretty wild how, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but how much they value Tyrell Shavers, because we're sitting here, we're debating Keon Coleman, a 2nd overall pick. We're debating Gabe Davis, who is a proven track record with the Bills, and Josh Allen has great trust in him. We're debating Brandon Cooks, a speed guy who's had a successful, long career. Mikael Hardman has done some good things, but the one guy we don't even debate is Tyrell Shavers, because he's not coming out of this lineup. He blocks great. He's good on special teams. He can make plays in the passing game when you give him an opportunity. So it's not necessarily just an indictment on Keon Coleman. It's also an endorsement of sorts when it comes to Tyrell Shavers as well. Anyway, let's take a quick break, come back. Spoiler alert, the A+, maybe even A grade run of the tight ends may be coming to an end here in just a quick minute. Be right back. Christmas Eve, Talking Buffalo, presented by William Mattar. Hurt in a car, call William Mattar, 444-4444. Please don't get hurt in a car on Christmas Eve or Christmas, man. Be careful out there driving around here in the Buffalo winter. All right, tight ends. This has probably been the most, other than running back, maybe the most consistently high-graded position we've actually had this season. In terms of tight ends, the good, Jackson Hawes, 2 catches for 26 yards. Also had an 87.6 PFF grade for whatever that's worth. Highest on the football team in this football game. Offense or defense, he had the highest grade of anyone on the team. Excellent job, as usual, of blocking. It's the good. The bad, Dalton Kincaid, not on the score sheet. Almost made a beautiful catch on the sideline. They challenged it. Sean McDermott didn't work out. A great effort, but 38% of the snaps and held off the score sheet. Dawson Knox, who's been good this year, man. We've sung his praises plenty on this show. A 4th down drop literally in his hands. The son's in his, I don't make the play, man. That was bad, and it could have cost him. It didn't, fortunately, but that could have cost them maybe even the game. Tight ends, tricky this week.
I gave him a C. The Jackson Hawes thing was a nice little nifty thing on the sideline. That was really nice. Obviously, he's doing really, really well. Knox, we've seen him drop things before, but not usually on difficult plays like that one. They're usually like mental, like he thinks it's going to be an easy catch and drops it. So I was surprised when he dropped the touchdown. So, like I said, that was surprising. The Kincaid thing, what is a catch? I don't really know. But so I thought it was a great play design. Obviously, Josh trusts Kincaid. Very surprised they didn't go back to him more in this game, considering they were doing all the short pass plays. Like that's where Kincaid's supposed to thrive. So I haven't seen the all 22. Maybe the Browns did something to take him out of the game when he was in there.
No.
And make the receivers beat you, which, I mean, if you're a defense in the passing game against the Bills, why wouldn't you take the tight ends out of the game and make the receivers beat you? But I haven't seen that. So I gave them a C.
Sounds right. And it's fair. I don't know how to feel about Dalton Kincaid only having one target in this game.
Yeah.
It's coming off injury. I don't know if that was an issue or not. He played 38% of the snaps. You want to see him out there a little more, but I also understand the way the Bills play football, man, though, with these packages, these heavier packages, I don't think you're ever going to see Dalton Kincaid play 60, 65% of the snaps in this offense because it's not what he does well. And
the Bills are down by multiple scores.
Yeah, when they're throwing the ball a lot, he'll be out there more. I guess that's the way to look at it. I look at this game, yeah, they only had 23 points, but again, Dawson Knox, there's 30. A better throw to Shakir. They're well into their 30s. Brandon Cooks at least sets up a touchdown with a catch, or score, I should say, anyway. So they left a lot of meat on the bone here in this football game. But, yeah, you don't want to see I think your most dangerous weapon on offense in the passing game held to one target. You don't love that. But anyway, didn't matter so much for this game. Offensive line, Deion Dawkins played very well. I mean, hey, Myles Garrett was quiet for a lot of this game. Myles Garrett gave some credit to the Bills, too. Deion specifically in the Bills after the game. I thought that was pretty cool. By the way, I was looking up the Pro Bowl roster. I said Deion Dawkins, maybe that's a reputation pick. Joe Alt made the Pro Bowl. He played 6 games this year. And he's on the Pro Bowl roster. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Anyway, Deion Dawkins, he played well. The Bills gave up 2 sacks. The running backs averaged 6.7 yards per carry, like I said. And there were plays to be made. They could have had a lot more points. I just mentioned some of them that, the Bills fumbled away those opportunities. They screwed it up. The Browns stink, but the defense doesn't stink. I thought this was a solid performance from the offensive line. What do you think?
Going into the game, that was the thing that we said could derail this game in a hurry was the Browns pass rush. And it didn't really impact the game on a huge level outside of Josh Allen doing that one YOLO Josh stupid play that got himself hurt. And obviously that impacted the rest of the game, but it wasn't necessarily a pass rush thing, if you catch my drift. And I don't necessarily blame the offensive line for him running around and like diving into the end zone, essentially. They only had 1 penalty in this game, so no holding calls, just a false start right after Josh Allen's like YOLO Josh play, and it cost them 0 yards because they were already on the 1 yard line and you can't back it up any more than that. So it's like, okay, I guess the penalty doesn't really matter. They kept Garrett in check. The run game was really good. I gave the offensive line a B+.
You know what? A rarity here. I'm gonna go to bat for the offensive line. Okay. I think they deserve to have an A next to their name. Maybe an A-, possibly even an A, because I went into this game thinking there's only 2 ways the Bills can lose this game. Number one, just stupid turnovers. I mean, you could lose to anybody in the NFL when you turn the ball over 3 times. I don't care who you are. And number 2, if the offensive line had a Houston performance, where a guy like Myles Garrett, and Shelby Harry, a couple others, they could just take the game over and make life hell for your quarterback, and neither happened. I thought the offensive line played well. I mean, a B+ is a good grade. But I'm gonna fight for them a little bit here.
We'll give them the A- then, okay?
All right, we'll give them an A-. You know what was funny though, going back to the tight ends, because you only gave them a C. It's kind of like when you're on the honor roll every semester, and then you get your report card, and you're not one semester. You see like a B- or a C, and it kind of lowers your average for the year a little bit. You go home disappointed, even though you're an honor roll student. That's how I feel about the tight end room over this past week. Defensive tackle. We'll go to the other side of the football now here. Got DaQuan Jones had an interception, which was kind of funny. I mean, Joey Bosa made the play there, but yeah, Walker, 3 run stops. And he did knock down a pass. Fidarian Mathis had 23 snaps of pressure. Let's do better going forward, I hope. TJ Sanders, a little bit interesting. So he played 32 snaps, only had 1 hurry, no pressures. He had an opportunity to get a sack, and his vision was terrible on the play. But watching the game back, I feel like he looks pretty good at times. And this was the first time he truly played defensive tackle pretty much since the beginning of the season, because he's been having to fill in that edge. I think Sean McDermott might have even spoke specifically about him, if I'm not wrong, sometime on Monday. One of those rare, the film makes, don't look at the box score. I think the film showed a little more for him. I felt like there was at least a little something to build off of with TJ Sanders, which is a second-round rookie that you traded up for. I really was hoping to see this earlier in the year. That said, we've talked about this, having to basically switch positions. I don't know, kind of a so-so thing for me. What do you got here?
I really liked what the defensive tackles did in this game, and the Browns weren't interested in going right up the gut. They ran so many plays to the edge in their running game.
Yes.
So
point.
I gave the defensive tackles an A-. They were okay in pretty much every regard. Plus they had the Daquan Jones interception, and Walker had those 2 batted balls. So obviously I think all around they did a really nice job limiting what the Browns were able to do.
All right. You said A-?
I did. The dog's here. Hey,
dog. What is it? Does the dog think is it A-?
I don't know. The dog. You want me to go lower?
But I think that's maybe a little high. I don't know.
Okay.
But you have a good point that I didn't think about. A lot of the damage they were doing was on outside running, jet sweeps, things like that. All right, that's fair enough. Edge. You know that LeBron meme where he's in the pool and he's smiling. He's got his head over his hand. I can't believe this is my life. And I'm smiling. I can't believe this is my life. That's how I feel about Greg Rizzo this week, man. Every Bills fan for the last, who knows how many weeks that we've been beefing, whether your team he's overpaid, whether your team he's doing a better job than the stats show, and he's worth the money. It's not that crazy of a contract. Whatever side you have fallen on, we converged in the middle this week. And universally, we're saying Greg Rizzo was the biggest, in my opinion anyway, for sure, the biggest reason why the Bills are 11-4 right now. I don't think the Bills win without Greg Rizzo this week. 43 snaps, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 9 quarterback pressures, 32.1 quarterback pressure percentage. Hits, set the edge. He was special. Now, this is a unit thing, not a specific player, but I can't help but rave about him because this was by a million miles his best game of the season. Joey Bosa kind of did what Joey Bosa does. Oh, here's a big Joey Bosa play. He deflects a ball and DaQuan Jones gets an interception. 3 pressures. Thought it was fine. Andre Jones Jr., 13 snaps. Okay. That's the most I could say about him. AJ Epinesa, 23 reps, no pressures. His plays, he's not been very good. And from what I've seen anyway, he has not been very good for a big, he's had a couple splash plays, but I don't think he's been very good this season. Anyway, defensive edge room anchored, of course, by one Greg Rizzo.
And then that Bosa, you said he had the pass deflection, obviously, that Daquan Jones picked off. I think he also got a finger on that pass. I think it was Trey White, broke up right at the goal line, where the Browns receiver double clutched it. I think Bosa got a finger on it. It doesn't count as a pass deflected because it still got to the receiver. But I think that was why the Browns receiver had to double clutch it, and then Trey White broke up right at the goal line. So
yeah.
I thought the defensive ends played very, very well in this game. If it wasn't for AJ Epinesa, they'd be getting an A+, but Epinesa brings down their grade to an A. He got beat around the edge several times, once because he was too slow, and a couple times because he just lost contain. He had a defensive holding call in this game as well, where he grabbed the receiver coming out of the backfield. It was not his. He's not going to be playing that for teams when he's looking for a contract this offseason. Let's just say that.
I wonder if, had he stayed healthy, if Landon Jackson would be taking some reps away at this point from AJ Epinesa, because I'm just not seeing anything with him. Quick thought, Matthew Judon signed with the Bills practice squad after we had recorded for the week last week. I think he's going to play here. I think he's going to get on this field sooner than later.
He got into town late last week. I think it was Thursday or Friday before they officially signed him. So I never expected him to play in this game, but he should be the fourth defensive end for the rest of the season, I would hope.
I think he will be. No sacks in his last 14 games. I mean, this is not the same player. This is a reputation player at this point. But let me point out one little thing to you here, Matthew Warren. The Bills have feasted this year on over the hill, past their prime players coming to Buffalo and playing way above expectations. Joey Bosa has been very, maybe just his health alone this year. He's missed one game. His health alone this year has been a lot more than we expected. Shaq Thompson, who we'll talk about here in a second, for the most part this season, we didn't expect much from him. He's been really good on this defense. Matt Milano is having a rebirth. We're going to talk about a few of these guys here in a minute. Trey White, Jordan Poyer. So who knows? Maybe Judon comes here and he finds the fountain of youth over, at the end of the regular season, and maybe in a key moment of a playoff game as well. So I'm not going to completely discount that. But yeah, to get on the field, because they want TJ Sanders inside, it's not going to take much. It's just him playing over Andre Jones Jr. right now, or Shaq Lawson, because they released Morgan Fox to bring him in. So the path is crystal clear. I wouldn't even be surprised if Judon plays this week against Philadelphia here on Sunday at all. You can elevate him. You don't have to bring him up to the roster. You can elevate him for these last two games, and then it resets anyway, and you make decisions for the playoffs. Linebacker, the good, Matt Milano, again, 9 tackles. He's got like 19 his last two games, something like that. A couple pressures. Not a dirty hit. Well, at least I don't think it was anyway, but it was unfortunate what happened to Judkins. I hate that. I never want to see that. Good young player. That hurt the Browns in that game. I'm not giving Milano credit for hurting him. Just saying he was involved in that play. The physicality's out there, man. I feel like he's playing his best football this season by far. Terrell Bernard did not actually start this game. He was kind of a package linebacker, but that changed after the injury. 7 tackles. I think it was the first touchdown that Cleveland scored. He was out of position a little bit, which we've seen a lot with him. Had a nice player too, but yeah, however you feel about Terrell Bernard, that's how you feel. Dorian Williams, he had a bad whiff on Shedeur Sanders. Actually pissed me off. I punched the couch when he missed Shedeur Sanders on that. I was like, how do you let Shedeur Sanders elude you like that? Anyway, blah. Shaq Thompson, who's been great, except for last week. I thought he stunk last week, and then he got hurt this week. So neck injury, we don't know the extent. He's day-to-day. We know that's all we know as of this recording. What do you think? Linebacker room here.
I ended up giving them an A-, like you said, with the Williams missing Shedeur, with some of those edge rushes were also on the linebackers. Obviously, Epinesa gives up the edge, but the linebackers weren't fast enough to get over there and make the play closer to the line of scrimmage. Milano's been playing really, really, really well. Yeah. And so he gets a lot of credit. He also had that tripping call that was,
that's right. You're right.
Unnecessary. Instinctually, I totally understood it in the moment, but it's like, dude, you have so much help over the top.
4 guys behind you, man. Yeah.
It's third and whatever it was. It was like 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20.
That's right.
And so that would have, and that led to a touchdown eventually. So it was unfortunate more than it was. Certainly it was not dirty on his part or anything like that. It just was unfortunate. So I gave them an A-. I thought they played pretty well. The Browns had a really good success running the ball in this game. And you got to think, if the Bills don't score 21 in the first half, how even more run heavy the Browns might have been to take advantage of that.
Quick side note, completely unrelated to this, because I'm kind of following the Pro Bowl stuff now in real time. 3 teams had no Pro Bowlers: the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, and the Minnesota Vikings. No Pro Bowlers. This was a team that was really good just 1 year ago. No Pro Bowlers this year. Justin Jefferson was banged up and missed some time, but he also hasn't put up any numbers just because the quarterbacking has been atrocious for the Vikings this year. So no Pro Bowlers on all 3 of those teams. Moving on here. We'll give you the floor here because, again, some of these positions I just yapped for way too long before I even turn over to you. Cornerback, what do you think?
No Browns receiver was over 40 yards. So that's good. Sanders was 20 of 29, but they were protecting him. And when you say 20 of 29, if there were 3 or 4 batted balls, that means if a ball got past the line of scrimmage, it was almost completed on every single play. So I thought the cornerbacks played fine, but they didn't make any like huge game changing type of plays. And I thought that the Browns were really efficient moving the ball through the air. I ended up giving the cornerbacks a C- because it didn't really hurt them that much, but there was a lot left in that game at the cornerback position.
C-.
A-. I didn't.
I was going to say.
I would not. No, like I said, they were okay. They didn't do anything super great.
I'm with you.
They didn't do anything super bad. They didn't get beat. Like I said, the best Browns receiver was only at 38 receiving yards, I think. So hard to give them like a really bad grade, like a C- when the Browns didn't really do anything special through the air.
I was getting ready to call you Ebenezer Scrooge here with a C-, man. A-, yeah, definitely more in line. Look, Cleveland had a lot of success in the passing game. Not a lot, but some. But a lot of it was just dump off shit. Christian Benford was fine. Thank God he didn't get hurt when Cam Lewis almost gave him some friendly fire along the sidelines. That really pissed me off. But
landed right on his sternum. Like I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, he was fine. And I look at Taron Johnson now at this point of his career and how he's been playing for the most part this year, kind of like an offensive guard. Like if I don't hear his name, if I don't see his jersey a lot, it's a good day for Taron Johnson. And it was. And then Trey White. Let me tell you, this might be my best take of the week. I want to read you my hot take tweet from earlier this week for everybody listening. I mean this too. It wasn't for effect or clickbaits or whatever you want to call that shit. Here was my take. I said, Trey White gave up 1 catch for 7 yards against Cleveland. Trey has given up 18 catches for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns all season. Quarterbacks have a 72.5 quarterback rating when targeting him this season per Next Gen Stats. Then I said he won't garner Pro Bowl consideration, but based on those numbers, he should. Week after week after week after week, we keep saying, Trey White's not getting tested. Trey White this, Trey White. Trey White ain't giving up shit. He's not giving up nothing. He's not giving up anything. 1 catch for 7 yards. He's only given up 200 yards this season. I keep waiting for the game where they go after him time again, and it's just not happening. So at some point, I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe Trey White's doing a good job, and those guys just ain't that open to throw the ball in front of him 20 times a game or whatever. This guy's going to get some flowers from me anyway. I think Trey White has been one of the 2 most pleasant surprises on the Buffalo Bills this season.
Yeah, we should start the comeback player of the year campaign for him too. I know it's probably going to end up being Joe Burrow, but we need to get Trey White some love here.
Yeah, we really do. I think he's been really good. Anyway, all right, safeties. Jordan Poyer had an interception, which was a gift. He also saved for sure a touchdown on a nice tackle near the goal line. He might have saved another one too. He just continues to play great. He was a physical factor in this football game. Cole Bishop hasn't made a big play, so to speak, in a while, but he's been solid. He's been steady. He hasn't gotten beat. 7 tackles. He was fine. Cam Lewis played 9 reps. I thought what was interesting is they went away from what they've been doing, where Jordan Hancock has been the dime safety. They went to Cam Lewis this time. So Jordan Hancock who did not do something good on special teams, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But no snaps on defense at all in this game for Jordan Hancock. That was interesting. Cam took his spot. Anyway, safety.
Yeah, I gave them an A+. Poyer has been a revelation this year.
Yes.
They don't win this game without Jordan Poyer, I think. And like you said, Cole Bishop didn't have a great you didn't go out of your way to notice him and be like, oh man, Cole Bishop, but he was super solid. So with Poyer playing at that level and Bishop playing at his level, I went A+, and this safety tandem is completely unexpectedly becoming such a rock solid part of this team.
It really, really is. I said Trey White to me was one of the 2 biggest, most pleasant surprises on this team. Jordan Poyer, absolutely is the other one. It's so cool for him, man. No matter how this plays out, I'm glad he got to come back to Buffalo and get the proper closure, I think, on his career. I'm not a big Wall of Fame or, all that, the stuff like that. I don't even know what they're going to have technically at the new stadium, if they're even going to have that, whatever. But whatever kind of Ring of Honor, whatever thing they have, I feel like this season might put him, if it was 50-50, I think coming back and having this kind of season might end up putting him on there alongside Mike Hyde. That'd be really cool someday down the road, but really cool stuff with him. I'll tell you what was not cool was special teams. Michael Badgley, who, look, as of now, he's on this team. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I would not be surprised if we find out tomorrow or Friday, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a different kicker this week. We'll see. I'm certain there'll be tryouts going on, maybe as we're recording this podcast right now, or maybe they already had them. But anyway, he missed an extra point. He had 2 short kickoffs, and then he had 1 kickoff where he didn't even reach the landing zone, and they got the ball at the 40. So a rough day for him. Wisnowski had a punt that would have been a nice punt, but ended up being a touchback. I believe it was Jordan Hancock didn't make the play down near the goal line where he should have. And speaking of him, he had a terrible Jordan Hancock face mask penalty late in the first half that very easily could have cost Cleveland 3 points. If we were talking about the Cleveland special teams, we'd be nicking them because they bobbled a snap. Wasn't it the former Bills punter who did it too? Yeah.
Corey Bojorquez.
Yeah. So this was Ray Davis. Nothing special this week, I guess, returning. Yeah, this was not a good day for special teams.
No, and I went back and forth between a D+ and a C-, and I was just being nice, and I went with C- because I do think Wisnowski had a nice punt from the short. He didn't have his full spacing on the one from the back of the end zone, and he still was able to get a clean punt away. He's been dealing with an injury as well, and so just seeing him be able to have a nice game was good. But yeah, the not a great kicking day. Not great.
No, it was not good. All.
We haven't talked about this. I really love that they put mics on these goalposts, because when we get a doink, man, it reverberates throughout my entire office. It is one of the coolest new additions to broadcast in the last, say, 5 years, where they added the mics there. So that when it doinks hard, man. It was good.
Let's talk about coaching here for a minute. Look, the Bills scored 20 points at the half, okay? Then I think they let their foot off the gas a little bit there, more than they wanted to. Now, I'm going to put that, me personally, on the players a little more than maybe Sean McDermott. And I also thought people might not agree with this. I thought Joe Brady was fine. I did not have an issue with him. Again, there were good plays dialed up. Cooks got open. Shakir got open. Knox was open. Make the freaking play, man. I don't have any issues this week with Joe Brady. I know Twitter does. I think he's just a whipping boy at this point, no matter what. But I don't know, man. Can you blame Joe Brady for dropping a pass or for making an airmail in a wide open Shakir, or Knox, the sun get in his eyes in the end zone, or whatever is his excuse for dropping the football? Or the piss poor tackling that kept them in the game, if you're Bobby Babbage or Sean McDermott. I don't think there was nothing schematically wrong or game prep wrong from what I seen that I didn't like about the coaching, other than one thing, which I feel like is a weekly routine now, is they just don't look good early in the game on defense. It's just so freaking frustrating. I got to follow up on that, but I'm going to give the floor to you first.
Yeah, Cleveland marching it down the field on that first drive kind of felt like, oh, here we go again, as far as the defense goes, which, again, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, because obviously the Bills defense has been able to turn it around after allowing easy peasy first drive scores from opponents' teams. I agree with you. I'm glad Sean McDermott took off his glasses and we're just going with contact lens Sean McDermott. Thank you for that, sideline reporter or whatever. I forget his name, whatever. So I gave the coaching a B. Yeah, Evan Washburn. I gave the coaching a B in this game. Like you said, I thought Joe Brady called a really nice game. depending, like, I know if you look at the box score, you see what their conversion rate was on third down. You're kind of like, oh man, the offense was really no, they weren't. They were in perfect positions over and over again and just didn't make the play. So I gave them a B.
I want to ask you this, and I'm basing it by saying I would understand typically why you like deferring. I think there's something to be said for the opportunity to double dip, for the opportunity to go into the locker room and dissect over the half what's working on offense and what you need to fix, and to have an opportunity to get the ball to start the second half and score and really kind of maybe set the tempo for the second half of the game. They make their adjustments. I understand all of that stuff, but based on the fact that the Buffalo Bills defense is an absolute disaster at the beginning of football games, it almost feels like they're willing to surrender a touchdown just to figure out what the hell the other team is going to do. Is it time to make a strong case that if the Bills win a coin toss, instead of deferring, that they take the ball and score first? Because maybe getting points on the board early on wakes up the defense, and it won't take the opponent marching down the field most of the time easily and getting in the end zone, and you're down 7-0 before the defense decides, hey, we got a football game going on. Maybe if you get the ball and you score first, the defense could get that feeling, that juice going before they even get on the football field.
It's at least worth a conversation, but also, like, we don't know what the offense would be like getting the ball right off the bat on a consistent basis either. Like, would Josh get a little bit like, jittery or something like that and get too excited, like get really excited and like overthrow his receivers like he's done in the past on opening drives? So it's a nuanced conversation. Obviously, I think the Bills defense really likes to see what the offense is going to give them first. And so I don't know if it would matter if they were with the ball first or on defense first. I think the Bills defense is probably going to give up a lot of opening drive scores the rest of the season.
Well, that's not fine. But I was going to say, all right, fine if the opponent's going to get the ball first. But for the love of God, man, stop falling down early in the game, or stop playing so bad early on before you even make adjustments. I mean, it is possible in this economy to just play a good game on defense and not have to wait until halftime before you decide to tighten the grips, so to speak, especially when the playoffs are coming up, where a really, shitty first half against a good team is probably going to result in you going home, short of what your goal ultimately is. Quick look at Philly here before we bounce. Which, by the way, Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady will be on the call. It's a Fox game. Aaron Andrews, I love Aaron Andrews. Tom Rinaldi. So that's your announced crew for this game. The Philly offense has struggled this year, man. But Saquon is still over 1,000 yards. He's still ninth in the NFL in rushing. Jalen Hurts could still run the ball and avoid sacks, which, watching Shedeur Sanders, the way he avoided sacks, especially early in that game, that's scary. I mean, we saw it. The Bills defense looked foolish trying to tackle him multiple times, and the Bills have stunk against the run this year. And Philly is a physical team. Lane Johnson's going to be back too on the offensive line. They can run the football. This is to me, Matt, this is a bad matchup in that regards. Like, if you stay at a nickel, and they like to play that nickel a lot, they're going to run the ball down your throat, I feel like. And again, they're getting Lane Johnson back. They're getting Jalen Carter back, total stud on each side of the ball. I don't know, what are your initial thoughts looking forward to this game, which is still days away, obviously?
I really want to see the Bills make the Eagles' offense as inconsistent as we've seen this year. Yeah. And it's going to be hard because A.J. Brown is back to A.J. Browning. They have Devonta Smith in their passing attack as well. It's going to be a challenge for the secondary, but to be fair to our secondary, they have stepped up in game after game this year. So if they can somehow neutralize A.J. Brown, they might have a chance at Saquon Barkley. This just feels like a game where if the Bills are going to win, it's going to be like 44-40. And I don't know if they could do that with Josh Allen on a bum wheel. So I'm not feeling great about this game. I really wanted the Patriots to lose on Sunday night to make this game pretty worthless. And so they could have rested a little bit, but it's going to be hard. I think this game is set up for the Bills defense to get absolutely roasted.
I don't disagree with you because I don't think Philadelphia, first of all, you're right about A.J. Brown, and he is an absolute beast. But you know who else is a beast? Jamar Chase. And Christian Benford is very capable of following that number one down and shutting him down, or at least containing him, okay? Devontae Smith on Trey White, even though I just pumped up Trey White this whole podcast, that's a concerning matchup. But the more concerning thing to me is not anything tricky they're going to do or anything fancy. It's straight up tackling. The Bills are not good at tackling. And Saquon Barkley does not like to get tackled early in a carry. He's going to make people miss. Jalen Hurts is going to avoid pressure and make people miss. The Bills just straight up have to tackle. I think that's what it comes down to. If they can tackle, they'll be fine. Defense is good, Philly. Of course they are, but they're not like as dominant as you would think that they are. And I'll tell you one other little factor, which could root for this. Might help the Bills out a little bit. It's possible, this game's at 4:25 on Sunday. It's possible that Philly doesn't really have anything to play for by the time they take the field. They could already have the division locked up, but they already do have the division locked up, I should say. So they've already won the division. If Seattle wins at Carolina, they play at 1 o'clock. And if Seattle wins at Carolina, that stops Philadelphia from being able to catch them for the number one seed. So the Philadelphia Eagles will know going into this game they cannot be the number one seed if Seattle wins in Carolina. I'm not saying that they're going to pull all their starters, because they still got a Week 18 game as well. But knowing that they've already won the division and that they're not going to get a bye, that may potentially change some of the way they play their game. And if it doesn't, even with the personnel, that may potentially temper. Football's about momentum in some ways and about motivation, And if they know they don't got the number one, maybe the guys aren't quite as up for this game. The Bills, if they win, they know no matter what happens, they got at least an opportunity to still win their division. So the Bills got a shitload to play for going into this game. Philadelphia possibly may not have as much. That might matter a little bit, I think.
I think that will as well. And the Eagles, I don't think they can get locked into the 3 seed by the time the kickoff happens. Maybe they can if Chicago wins. I would have to do some more math. I don't know when Chicago's playing.
Chicago? Let me look it up here.
Okay. No, they're playing Sunday night. So yeah, they won't be locked into the 3 seed by the time the game comes around. So they'll have at least something to play for, but they know they're not going to be the 4 seed. They know they're probably not going to be the 1 seed. So you're right. They're not getting a bye. They are going to be in a very strong position as far as the 2 or the 3. So maybe they don't have, maybe they keep stuff in the bag, so to speak. Maybe they keep stuff, hidden away and run their vanilla offense instead of trying to go all out and win this game. So I can definitely see that. It's funny, when the schedule came out, everyone looked at this game and were like, why would they put this game so late in the season? Both of their teams might have nothing to play for. I didn't think it was because the Bills were going to be in the wild card race and the Eagles were going to be third in the NFC, but both teams really don't have a ton to play for in this game.
No, for sure. As we wind up here, I jokingly was going to call you Ebenezer Scrooge because I thought you gave the CB room a C-. You know who's been the Ebenezer Scrooge this season for the Buffalo Bills? I realized it this morning. Here, a little Christmas talk to wrap this up. The Miami Dolphins. Let me explain how. You go back to one moment, one game this year, 1 week, that has really potentially screwed up the Bills season. It is, without question, it's the Miami game. They lost to New England too, so you could say that. But you know what? New England's a good team, so that shouldn't be shocking. Who cares about Atlanta? Well, you do care, but they lost to Atlanta, they lost to Houston. But you know what? Just had they beaten Miami, even if they lost to Atlanta and Houston and New England, had they went to a really shitty Miami Dolphins team and beat them like they absolutely should have, had they won that game, the Bills would be, not only would the Bills be in their own, control their own destiny to win the division, the Bills would literally right now, if they beat Miami, they would hold all the cards to be the number 1 seed in the entire AFC as long as Denver would lose one of their last 2. No, I take that back. I'm wrong. because the Bills would have 3 losses. I was right the first time. The Bills would be in control of their own destiny for the number 1 seed because they own the tiebreaker over the Broncos because of conference record. And that's even losing to Miami. So they definitely would own that. The Bills would control their own destiny right now to be the number 1 seed in the entire AFC had they just beaten the freaking shitty Miami Dolphins. So if you're a Miami fan and you hate the Bills, that should make your holidays right there. You potentially ruin the Bills' division hopes, if not the number 1 seed overall.
Well, they can make it up to us by beating the Patriots in Week 18.
That is true. That is true. Real quick, I did a little bit of research, and I'll talk about this more on the show tomorrow, which, by the way, tomorrow being Christmas Day, I actually am going to record something. I'm going to have a 20, 25-minute Christmas podcast. If you're driving to Aunt Lucy's or something like that, and you want to listen to a podcast in the car, you're tired of Christmas music, throw it on. But anyway, if the Bills win out, just for informational purposes, if people don't know this, if the Bills win out, they're guaranteed the 5th seed. Even though they're 6 right now, the Bills are guaranteed the 5th seed if they win their last 2 games. So I want everyone to know that right now. If they lose to Philadelphia to end up being the 5th seed, they would need the Chargers to lose their last 2 games. They're playing Houston this week, and then they're at Denver. So probably not going to happen there.
Well, there's a lot still left to happen in the AFC playoff picture.
A gazillion things. Again, I won't be here. I'll be here until tomorrow if I went through all of them. But they would also need Houston to lose their last 2 as well. So highly unlikely. Probably going to end up being the 6th. Again, I could go through a million things. Here's the only scenario where the Bills could finish 7th. All right. That's the one thing I will read off right now. The Bills would be the 7th seed only if they lose to Philly or New York Jets. They would need the Chargers to lose to Houston this week, but then beat Denver in Week 18. And they would need Houston to beat both the Chargers and Indy. So that would be the scenario where the Bills are the 7th seed. Probably if they lose this game, they probably land on the 6th seed. I got one question for you though. We'll end with a question here.
Okay.
The Steelers are going to be the 4. If Saturday night Green Bay loses, or if Green Bay beats Baltimore, they're out. Pittsburgh could be the AFC North champion before they take the field this week against Cleveland. Now, even if Baltimore wins and Pittsburgh beats Cleveland, which they should, Pittsburgh wins this division. Pittsburgh's going to be the 4th seed, basically. Barring a complete meltdown, they're going to be the 4th seed. They can rest. They're certainly going to rest Week 18 because they're going to have nothing to play for if they beat Cleveland. So you're playing a team that's not as good. You know, you're not afraid of Pittsburgh, but you are going to face a rested team for sure in Week 18, maybe even some a little bit on Week 17 as well. Does that matter to you? Like, do you still firmly, if you can't win the division, do you still firmly want the 5 and going to Pittsburgh, even though you're going to face a Pittsburgh team that will be resting all their starters in Week 18?
I don't think it matters very much. The Jaguars, the Steelers are the 2 teams that the Bills are most likely to end up facing in the 3 and 4 slot. I'm not necessarily worried about either of those teams. I put this on Blue Sky on Monday. The Bills are going to be favored in every AFC playoff game they play this year, even if it's in Mile High, if it's no matter where it is. The Bills are going to be favored in every single playoff matchup that they're going to get to until the Super Bowl. And they might be underdogs on a neutral field to the Rams, maybe the 49ers, but the Rams for sure. So like I said, I don't think it matters which team they're playing. And I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, the Bills' road to the Super Bowl has been paved by the Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes not being there. They're going to have to win 3 road playoff games, and they've won 0 with Sean McDermott. 0 road playoff wins. Yeah. So it's not paved when you're a wild card team. Get that shit out of here. Like, no. But I don't think it matters if they're playing the Steelers on coming off of a week of rest. The Jaguars are going to have to keep playing because they have the Texans breathing down their neck. So the Jaguars are certainly going to be playing right up until the end of Week 18, you would think. So I don't think it matters very much. I think the Bills can beat any of the teams in the AFC playoff race right now.
All right, one last question here based on that. We've got about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Philly matchup, but I also don't like it very much. Let's just say purely for the sake of discussion, the Bills lose this game, okay? And they're out for winning the AFC East. You go to week 18 here against the Jets. You still got maybe an outside shot the way things play out to be the 5, but you could be the 6, you could be the 7. Do you think Sean McDermott is worried about the seeding and playing his starters in a game where they cannot win the division? Or do you think that he's resting his starters and says, you know what, if we end up the 6 or the 7 or wherever we end up going to, whatever seed we are, I would rather rest Josh Allen and James Cook and Deion Dawkins and Greg Rizzo. I'd rather rest them in week 18 and have a healthy key guys going on the road, even if it ends up being Jacksonville or New England or Denver instead of Pittsburgh because they're not the 5 seed. What do you think they do in that case?
I think more of it would come down to how the Bills feel about their players and their injuries and their nicks and all that stuff. Like if Josh Allen is limited or misses practice this week, I don't see a scenario where you would want him to play more than maybe a series in that week 18 game. If everything's all settled and determined. And so I think it comes down mostly to the injury situation as opposed to a Sean McDermott philosophy situation.
Sure. 100%. And last thing too, I bet you money if Buffalo beats Philly and if New England beats the Jets, which I still say the Jets, even though they stink because it's in New York, that maybe they have the better chance to upset New England, I think, than Miami does. That game's going to be on week 18. It played at the same time. Whether it's 1 o'clock, whether it's 4 o'clock, those teams will play ahead of time. The league does not want teams to have nothing to play for if they can avoid it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, all right, man. Make sure everybody you're following Matt on Blue Sky N, Twitter at Matt Rich Warren, SB Nation. More specifically, as always, Buffalo Rumblings, a one-stop shop for all your Buffalo Bills news and views. Appreciate you as always, man. We'll talk, but we won't talk on the show before. So hope you have a good Christmas and appreciate you as always, buddy.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Have a great week. See you.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Matt. And like I said, I actually will be having a Christmas episode, a short one here coming up tomorrow. Merry Christmas Eve, everybody.